Government of the Republic of Zimbabwe takes note of the misleading and biased European Union Election Observation Mission for the year 2023 in terms of the harmonized elections, which seeks to impinge Zimbabwe's democratic processes. The report focuses on a closed episode of our national political cycle, and Zimbabwe is now at the height of implementing His Excellency President E.D. Mnangagwa's development agenda. However, it is prudent to underscore the factual shortfalls of the European Union EOM final report, as it seeks to misrepresent the government's adherence to the demands of our constitution in ensuring that the harmonized elections was free and fair. The entire election fulfilled the tenets of our robust national democracy. The government is fully aware of the European Union's Election Observation Mission's irregular nocturnal meetings with opposition political players outside conventional election observation parameters. We also know that the European Union disbursed campaign funds to a particular opposition party in violation of the Political Parties Finance Act, and we also have substantial evidence of their clandestine operations with other election observer missions for the purpose of manipulating their reports in order to discredit the election outcome. At the same time, the government of Zimbabwe is aware of the colonial traditional reactionary aspersions of those perennially inclined to subvert the will of our people by misrepresenting facts about Zimbabwe's political environment before, during, and after the elections. Section 93 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe provides for the legal processes to be followed in the event that there are election disputes. However, after the announcement of the election results, there was no legal challenge to the process or the outcome of the elections, which gave legitimacy to the status quo. The outcome and conclusion of the elections was decided by the people of Zimbabwe on the 23rd and 24th of August 2023 elections. The adoption of the patriotic provisions in the Criminal Codification and Reform Act is in line with strengthening our national security interest. The amendment is also consistent with our sovereign privilege as any equal actor within the international community. The Cyber and Data Protection Act supports Zimbabwe's fulfillment of international law in combating cyber crimes and focuses on safety and security of citizens in the cyberspace. This law does not interfere with what the report refers to as infringement of social media and digital rights of the citizenry. As for the Private Voluntary Organizations Amendment Bill, it did not get presidential assent, resulting in its referral back to Parliament. Therefore, its perceived contentious provisions are still proposals. The PVO bill cannot be cited as a restrictive piece of legislation when it does not even exist. Further to this, the report suggests that prosecution of criminality of the members of political players translates to political persecution. However, no one is above the law, and our law will never be selectively applied to exonerate criminality. Being a political player does not provide one with the privilege of immunity. Like any other modern democracy, the independence and integrity of Zimbabwe's judiciary is sacrosanct, as opposed to the maligning allegations of the Observer Mission in terms of their final report. The government of Zimbabwe condemns the unwarranted attack on the entire legal framework of the elections as it relates to the constitutional mandate of the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission in the running of elections in Zimbabwe. Parliament's law-making prerogative, and it must also be reiterated that the civil society and all social movements in Zimbabwe enjoy the constitutional benevolence of the freedom of association and expression. This is a prevailing reality which profoundly contradicts with the report's false projection of a restricted political environment in Zimbabwe in the run-up to the elections. And contrary to the claims by the report, the government of Zimbabwe continues to ensure that the national broadcaster, the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation, affords all political players fair airplay as required by the law. The government has intensified media liberalization through licensing of new media, radio, and TV broadcasters. And instead, also government condemns the weaponization of some private media players for hostile and polarizing reportage in favor of a certain opposition political party, which is perpetually purporting to be operating in an unfair playing field. The rights and freedoms of all journalists is constitutionally governed. To this end, there have been reforms in the media sector, which includes but not limited to the repeal of the Access to Information and Protection of Privacy Act. We now have the Freedom of Information Act, and under the new legal and operational circumstances, the issue of a restricted flow of information does not arise. The report also maliciously omits that under the policy of leaving no one and no place behind, the Second Republic introduced the youth quota and extended the women's quota in Parliament. The introduction also of the women's quota in councils is another progressive step towards inclusive participation and promotion of devolution. The new cabinet also reflects the inclusion of the youth and women in terms of the demographic dividend in the affairs of the state. This will add value to the cause of sustainable nation building in advancing our socio-economic development as Zimbabwe continues to protect its sovereignty, dignity in the community of nations. I thank you.